Sup, guys? This is Garrett Fuller with MMORPG. You are about to hear an interview we did with World of Warcraft about their new WoW token system. So it is Reza Lackey and I, Reza Zar, WoW expert, interviewing Ian Hazzikostas about the new WoW token system that is announced on Monday. I apologize in advance for the audio of this video. It's a little off, but hopefully you guys enjoy it.
Ian?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So, Reza, why don't you start with a couple of questions that you had, and we'll let Ian answer everything that these guys are about to. They're announcing it today. It's Monday, so it's going to be pretty cool and bring a whole new way to play WoW to the millions of people who play.
Yeah, so this is obviously a very, very exciting feature, especially for those who have a vast surplus of gold. They can actually use it for something now. And on the flip side, if there's that one mount you want for 50,000 gold, there's an easy way to get it if you really want it, and you have no money, no gold. Exactly. However, that does raise a question, which I feel like many will want the answer to, which is, in light of this new token system, essentially a way to buy gold with real-world money, is there a chance we may see an inflation or increase in cost of in-game items that currently cost gold?
I don't know that I would expect to see that. I think that one of the key features of the system is that, of course, Blizzard is not selling gold. We are not creating gold. We're simply acting as sort of a middleman between two interested players who want to exchange gold for game time. And so new gold isn't being introduced to the economy as a result of this. Of course, I think there's no question that people will view gold differently in some cases in terms of the value that it has, in terms of what they can do with it because the system exists. But it's unclear whether that will raise prices or whether it might, on the flip side, cause some people to be more hesitant to spend as much gold on something like a fancy mount when in the back of their minds they're thinking, well, this could pay for a month of World of Warcraft.
Right. So my next question is will there be will the in-game real money store tie into this token system in any way? Will there be a way to essentially use gold to potentially get a token to then buy a mount with that currently costs $25?
It's an interesting idea, but at this point, the token specifically is only redeemable for 30 days of game time. It's purchased on one end in the shop and traded on the auction house and redeemed for game time.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Yep. So another question, kind of leading up to that, is why is it a good time now to introduce this feature? Why hasn't it come earlier, or why are what makes now the right time for this, if there is?
It's I think a mix of a number of factors. It's something that we've been thinking about, that we've been talking about internally for a while. Certainly, we've seen other games in the genre do similar types of systems, whether it's EVE, PLEX, or Wildstar's C.R.E.D.D, or other implementations. And as with everything, we kind of think about what other games are doing and decide whether something like that would be a good fit for our game and for our players. In this case, it's a mix of getting a lot of technical infrastructure in place that enables something like a single region-wide auction house so that all players in the entirety of North America can transact with each other, likewise for Europe. It's also, a matter of sort of working out safety, security details on our end, making sure we're comfortable with that we can, prevent fraud, protect our players, but also sort of listening to our players. And, particularly in the aftermath of the release of Wildstar, there's something that players seem to really enjoy and like there that got us thinking about it even more. Late last year, we kind of teased the idea as sort of part of our upcoming plans for 2015. I mean, at that point, obviously, a lot of this work, a lot of this planning was pretty far along. But again, we wanted to make sure before proceeding with it that this was something that our players wanted. And when we floated the idea of offering a way to exchange gold for game time, there was overall an enthusiastic response. And, we still to this day have been getting questions. So, hey, what happened to that thing that you said might be coming? Like, we really want it. So that all of those things kind of convinced us that this was the right time and the right choice for our players.
Cool. And I know you guys, I don't think are ready to announce it quite yet, but is there a range in terms of the cost of the token that you can click us into in terms of gold?
Yeah, I think the price in real money on the shop is something that we'll announce closer to the final release of the feature, still being determined. In terms of how much gold it will purchase, that's going to be driven by supply and demand ultimately. One of the unique features of our market is a single price region-wide for both buyers and sellers that changes sort of algorithmically based on supply and demand. So that, obviously, if there are more people looking to sell tokens than there are looking to buy them, that means the price is too high, so it should come down. If the reverse is true and there's way more buyers than tokens being created, then the price is probably too low, and so it should go up. But our goal is, our expectation is that it'll reach a relatively stable equilibrium and shift slowly from there.
Okay. And I imagine that means that when this system launches, Blizzard will inject X amount of tokens into the economy to start. And we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Or
no, we're not. I mean, again, we're not creating tokens because ultimately, we're not sort of directly participating on either side of this. We're not creating gold. We're not removing gold from the system. We will pick an initial starting price based on sort of our analysis of the state of the player economy as a whole, looking at frankly what some of the third-party sites are selling gold for to get a sense of where demand likely falls. Just kind of our best guess as to what that equilibrium might be, but I'd be lying if I said I think we're going to get it perfectly correct. But once that system's in motion, it will be up to players to decide what the balanced price is that they think is fair.
Got it. Well, that's it for me. I'm super excited for this feature. I don't know why someone wouldn't like this.
I can't agree more.
I definitely think it's great. I did have a couple of questions to add to Reza's as well. Have you guys explored the possibility of right now it seems like the system is a single token for a single month of game time. Have you looked out further at the possibility of 3-month tokens, 6-month tokens, things like that?
I think ultimately, in the interest of simplicity and a market that moves as quickly as possible and is as easy to use as possible for everybody, there's a lot of value in focusing on a single token and a single commodity. And if you're looking to get 3 months of World of Warcraft, you can just buy 3 tokens. If you're looking to, sell 3 months worth of tokens for gold, you can, again, buy 3 tokens and sell them. So I think there already is that granularity. I think we focused on 1 month or 30 days as sort of the basic unit, the building block of pretty much all of our WoW subscription plans already, so it seemed like a really good fit for what the token should be.
Cool. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I was just curious if you guys had thought about it. My other question, Ian, is you talked about really the voice of the players, and I'm curious about kind of some of the feedback you had gotten. I mean, WoW has, remains the biggest subscription model game out there. Nobody has ever shifted from it. You guys have never, needed to, really. But it does sound like you really, really listened to your audience this time. So I'm curious kind of what some of the, feedback you got directly related to WoW, not so much to the other games or anything like that.
I mean, I think we certainly, honestly, we have to thank the other games that kind of pioneered this model and proved that it could work, and that helped, in a sense, to allay some of the concerns that players might have about this system. And it was interesting watching a lot of the discussion threads about it, where, someone would come in expressing concern, like, wait, isn't this basically just Blizzard selling gold? Or, wait, aren't people just going to get cheated in the system? And people would come in with their experiences from other games that had it and kind of put those concerns, put those fears to rest. And we feel confident that the version of this that we're delivering is really as safe, as secure, as simple as possible. So I think it should be something that makes those makes the players that on either side of the equation that are eagerly anticipating this very happy, and we're excited to share it with everybody.
Cool. I think it's as Reza said, just to echo it, I think it's a great system, and it sounds like you guys have really, really thought it out over the last couple of months and last year. Is there one specific thing you can point to that you kind of sit there and go, Yeah, this is really going to make people's lives easier in terms of game time. Is it that you do see a lot of players who kind of fall off of the game because they don't feel like paying the subscription model anymore, and they still have level 100 characters that were raiders that were very active in the community? Is this kind of a big reach out to those types of players who really are passionate?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I think that people have different circumstances, changing circumstances in their lives. There are times when people, as much as they love World of Warcraft, can't justify spending money for a given month or for a few weeks. They have to hold off. I've had experiences with guildmates in my raid group who will occasionally say, sorry, I'm not going to be around for a couple of weeks. They're students, and it's going to be a couple of weeks before they can go buy a new game card. And this gives them an option to do so in game. Potentially gives us an option as a guild to actually say, hey, take some money from the guild bank and keep raiding with us because we like having you around. You're awesome. You shouldn't have to drift away just because of those 2 weeks. It's something that players can, I think, fit into their gameplay patterns, into their habits in a variety of ways. I think some people, probably a majority, aren't going to interact with the system at all. And that's our expectation, and that's totally fine. Others may, buy a lot of these. Others may, not necessarily be rolling in gold, having tons of spare gold, but find that every few months they can buy one token and effectively subsidize a portion of their WoW subscription, which is, making their lives easier, effectively letting them play the game for a bit less personal cost, which is great.
Sure, and obviously the subscription model is still going to be in place. That's nothing. None of that's ever going to change, right? This is kind of a supplemented system on top of that to give players more options.
That's exactly what it is. I think we're really happy with how the subscription model has worked out for us. And as we've recently announced, following the release of Warlords, we're back over 10 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Really thrilled with the reception that Warlords has received from players. This is exactly like you said, just kind of building on freedom and flexibility and choices within that subscription model in terms of how you want to cover that subscription.
Cool. My last question really comes down to security. Obviously, listen, it's been proven that no matter how tough your internet security is, they're going to find ways to hack you. And I know it is a battle you guys fight on almost every single front. I don't think the system really lends itself to where somebody could, exploit a lot of money or exploit a lot of gold or anything like that. But what steps do you guys take, as you mentioned earlier, to ensure the safety of your players with something like this? Because it's going to be a massive market. It's going to go very quickly, and you're dealing with essentially 3 types of currency. Real money, the token itself, and then the actual in-game gold. So I'm curious how you guys approach something like that.
So we on the real money side of it, I think we have a team in place that sort of monitors all those transactions for fraud, that is doing reviews in real time to help guarantee that the tokens entering the system are legitimate, they're not being purchased with stolen credit cards or otherwise as a result of fraudulent activity. And that just helps to protect our players, to help guarantee that all participants in the system are being dealt with fairly and are going to have a fair experience. Beyond that, I think one of the basic safeguards we have in place is not letting these tokens, not letting the system be one that can really be gamed or manipulated very much. Unlike some other implementations, these aren't tradable. You can't really do anything with them other than either list it on the auction house if you bought it off the shop, or redeem it for game time if you bought it off the auction house with gold. So there aren't going to be people who are walking around with a ton of these. There's no risk really of having an account compromised and all of your tokens muled off to someone else, because you can't transfer them to someone else, and it's almost certain that if you purchased it to apply to your account, so you're probably not carrying them around anyway.
Right, gotcha. Cool. That's it for the questions for the audio interview.